so it's going to be a little bit easier. So yeah, so let's start with the FIDE Grand Prix that just finished. And first of all, that was like, I think, the first series in many ways. I mean, the first series that was fully streamed on my channel, this channel, twitch.tv/ChessQueen, with the help of my wonderful co-hosts. They were different every single leg, but nevertheless, they managed to stream for you my games. And I think that's amazing, because those Grand Prix tournaments, they are very long and very hard for me, and 2 weeks each. 2 weeks each, and so like in total 1.5 months of playing, and all this time, well, it was covered, and the games were analyzed and streamed, and you were able to follow these games even with some video cameras from the playing hall. So I think overall that was an amazing experience. Of course, I want to give a huge shout out to all those wonderful streamers who helped me throughout those tournaments. I will be doing a shout out throughout this stream, so you please make sure to follow those streamers. These were the names. These were the streamers who were helping me in Nicosia. They were making streams for you, and let's start with how to do it. And of course, I need to thank George for his wonderful moderator help, because without him it would be very hard to keep everything going. And I mean, all your work and support is really, it's greatly appreciated, because otherwise it's so hard when you play chess professionally, like fully, and you try to prepare for those games and events and tournaments, and you really need this help, you know, to keep things going. So how do I start out? Oh, you need to help me. You need to help me. You see, I'm not a very experienced streamer. Can I do so? No. Yeah, it worked. It worked. Okay, the first shout out has been given to Alexandra Samaganova, who helped several times throughout those series, and she was also streaming some of the rounds in Nicosia. Let's get going. Let's get going to the tournament itself. So below the camera, you can see the overall standings. This series, it's a series of 4 tournaments throughout 2 years, every 2 years, which actually, well, it's been changing. This rule has been changing a lot, but well, as we stand now, it is a qualification series where 2 first best players of the series qualify for candidates tournament, and that's the ultimate goal of the whole series, is to determine these 2 best players for the next candidates tournament. And for this particular series, it happened to be Kateryna Lagno and Alexandra Goryachkina. Unfortunately, because of my mediocre result in Nicosia, I scored only 30 points. I took only 10th place in Nicosia, and I was not able to qualify. I was not able to finish in these first 2 spots. But I must say that overall, the 4th place in the whole series, I think it's my best result so far. Because this series, it's not my, definitely, I mean, by far not my preferable format. I struggle so much. I mean, I hate even thinking of going to this tournament and playing it. And every single series, I say to myself, okay, it's gonna be the last one. It's gonna be the last one, because it's so hard. I mean, you play 11 rounds with just 1 free day, and every single game is a game against a very strong opponent. So you don't have any rest day, you don't have any time to recuperate. If something goes wrong, then I mean, you just really forced to forget about it and go on and fight on, and it's hard for me, like mentally, and of course, as the time goes by, these tournaments are very, very hard and very unpleasant. And yeah, I'm not sure if I, will be able, because I've had, I think throughout those series, they started back in 2000. I might be mistaken, but I think like the first Grand Prix series started back in 2009, like the very first 2009, 2010, something like this. And I haven't participated at that time because I was the in 2008 I won a women's world championship, and I didn't feel like that would be like the right thing to do. But then I think my first participation was in 2011, 2012, this series of 2011, 2012, so a long time ago. And two of my first tournaments of this Grand Prix series, I think I happened to take the last place with -5 and -6 result. And so those memories, they're still there, even it's been like more than 10 years, and I still remember them and stumble upon them in a way and suffer through them, and so yeah. Hard. But let's talk about this series. This series, as I said, I think it's been my best series so far, with the fourth overall place in the standings after after the whole series. Well, each participant, there are 16 in total, well, with some substitute if somebody canceled their participation. So each participant plays in 3, and all 3 results are calculated towards the overall result. So as you can see on the table below my camera, yeah, I took the 4th place overall, just after Kateryna Lagno, Alexandra Goryachkina, who qualified for the Candidates 2024, and Zhu Jiner, who was one of the youngest participants, but nevertheless played very well and very showed a very um, good result. Well, not counting her first tournament, but then she was just improving and improving and improving. I know the first tournament was also great. What am I saying? The first tournament was, I mean, overall in Munich, I think she scored just 50%, but still Astana and New Delhi, 2 great performances for her. While I played well in Astana, I think it was, in terms of my play, it was the best tournament in terms of the quality of the games. But I did made a few sad decisions throughout this tournament, and I took only 4th place, although I can be happy about my performance there. In Munich, yeah, it was a dream come true tournament, dream come true result, because I took the clear 1st place the first time in all of those Grand Prix tournaments. But in Nicosia, yeah, things did not quite go my way. So let's take it. Let's go round by round. And I will highlight like the most important moments. In my point of view, I was blundering, unfortunately, too much. Well, I don't know. I haven't, of course, had time to analyze and to understand why it was happening. There might be different reasons. Might be nervous pressure, or like just the overall like shape and conditions. I don't know yet, but so let's see together. Let's go over all those 11 rounds, and yeah, and let's wrap this series up and try to go on. So I already gave a shout out to Alexandra Samaganova. Another shout out that I'll be giving goes to Adriana Nikolova. All those wonderful streams, please follow them if you haven't done so already, because they've been helping me throughout this series to cover my games while I was playing. So okay, here we go. And yeah, let's start with round number one. Unfortunately, as I can see it now, it was like a turnout point of the whole tournament. I was playing white, and it's supposed to be a little bit easier when you're playing white, but unfortunately, it didn't go my way. Okay, so the first game, it was a game between against Tan Zhonghui. She just played the final candidates match against her compatriot Lei Tingjie. I was commentating actually on chess.com. She lost that final match, and Lei Tingjie is going to play against Zhu Jin, but nevertheless, Tan Zhonghui is a very experienced player. Actually, she just turned 32. It's her birthday now, so happy birthday to her. And she is a former women's world champion. She won once a knockout championship, the same way as I did back. She won in Tehran in, when was that? In 2016, I believe. So a very strong player from China. But I've played already many times with her. She, well, did surprise me slightly, I must say, in this game with the Berlin variation. Berlin defense, she opted for it. Usually, I mean, in her candidates match, she opened her games with c5. She sometimes played the, for example, in the World Cup that I won, I played the semi-final match against her, and she opened our game with the Petrov defense. So I knew that she could go to the Berlin defense, but I didn't quite, prepare like as seriously as I must have uh, been. And I went to the same line, but slightly deviated from my game against Alexandra Goryachkina. I opted for a plan with c3 d4 here. Okay, I will not dive into the opening nuances, but she did not do her best. I did not do my best here. But the key moment of the game, there were several key moments, of course, but one of the first key moments, I did play d4 here. Probably it's a little bit too premature because in the game after e takes d4, c takes d4, her bishop went to g4, pinning my knight and putting pressure on the center. So probably it would have been better to, like secure the square first, and then thinking of playing d4 if she like neglects it and play knight g6, for example. Probably the best way for black to play after h3 is to play c5, stopping preparing for d4 with an approximately equal position. Okay, but after d4, yeah, she captured and she played bishop g4. I played h3, and here the problem is that since the spin is so annoying, I was trying to like unpin my knight, and here of course I didn't dare to take on b7, although I think the computer suggested, but it looked just too dangerous here. So g4 is almost like obliged to push this bishop away, and here yes, queen takes b7 was possible, but okay, humanly speaking, it's nearly impossible. It's nearly impossible to make such a move unless you are preparing it and you're analyzing it at home. Thank you so much, King's Gambit, for your support. I'm not, as I said, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this stream like from my home. I'm doing it from a remote location, so I cannot hear and thank you like straight away. I cannot hear like the cheers and subs, but they're greatly appreciated nevertheless. Okay, so queen takes b7. I didn't dare to play. I played bishop to d2, trying to finish developing, trying to like connect my rooks, bring this rook to d1 in order to support the pawn on d4. And my opponent somehow misplayed here with her next moves. She had to, act very aggressively in the wave, trying to use the fact that I weakened my king side, playing h5 probably. Instead, she played bishop f4. She let my rook get to d1. She exchanged this bishop, but again, because of this exchange, I was able to stabilize the center in a way. Now my rooks support those pawns, and the position is not so scary anymore. She played knight f4, probably missing or evaluating my knight to f to e5 move, or probably she was hoping that this move is not possible because after b5, if my knight goes away somewhere to a3, she just grabs on e5, and my rook on d2 is not protected anymore. But in fact, after b5, I have several good options. And the strongest move that I didn't even consider for some way, I mean, I did miscalculate a lot of times in my games in Nicosia. Unfortunately, Derek J, hi, yes, I just started, I can say. Yeah, I'm trying to do a recap, and I'm doing it from a remote location, I mean, from remote stream anyway, but as long as it works, that's great. I'm talking about my games, and yeah, unfortunately here I didn't manage to find the best move, which was knight a5. Yes, I leave this knight under, like on Prix. It's possible to take, but after that, I'm going to take on c6 with a fork. The line continues, and probably that's what my opponent was hoping for. But in fact, even though this pawn looked very weak, I have a very precise queen to c3 move. And well, if she exchanges, I get a better endgame. If she goes back, then knight on e5 is just perfectly placed. It's hard to say, right, immediately. But like tactically, somehow I do great. I mean, I have ideas like this, for example, and suddenly it's me who is checkmating the black king. So knight a5 was really a possibility to turn the tables around, definitely. But somehow I didn't even consider this move. I was going to play queen g3. That was my first intention, and I was, going to make it. But unfortunately, I decided to calculate some different lines, and I saw that queen e3 is also a possibility. And somehow I made myself believe, with some unnecessary and completely not right lines, that this move is more precise than that one. And actually, queen e3 is a blunder. It's a very serious blunder that cost me the game. After all, even though I was able to get back after this blunder, which we'll talk later about it. But of course, queen g3 was a very, very fine option. And well, my position is slightly better. It's not, we're not talking about a serious advantage as, for example, after knight e5, but after the queen g3, okay, she needs to take here. I was going to take, she takes, and I was going to play f4. Funny looking pawn, I know, to support my knight, because, well, this pawn on d4 is pinned. And it's black who has to be precise in order to keep the balance. There is a very strong rook takes e5, but a very difficult one to make during a practical game, just to give up an exchange. Otherwise, I think she would play f6. But in that case, I mean, she has just too many weaknesses, and it's going to be her headache to protect them. So yeah, queen g3 would have been such a so much better choice than queen e3, and as I said, yeah, queen e3 unfortunately cost me the game. So queen e3, what is wrong with that? Well, I thought that I thought that it's the same story, right? She has to take on h3, and then we transpose to the lines that I just discussed. But, oh no, unfortunately, after queen e3, and of course, I instantly saw it when I made this move, and it was like a cold shower. There is a very strong blow, a very strong move, which kind of slipped away from my attention for a few seconds. Yes, Dirk, thank you. I will make sure to. I'll be back, by the way. there's gonna be another stream tonight at 6 p.m. I'm going to play Chess 960 event, so I will be live today for quite some time. Now it's a recap, and tonight it's gonna be another stream. Anyway, yeah, are you able to see this very, very strong moves that I missed, but my opponent did not miss? Well, it's 95. Very nice and a very tough one to notice. Well, what can I say? I was feeling like resigning, immediately. It's such a terrible blunder, because, well, now you see all my pieces are pinned. For example, if I move my queen away, there is f6 coming anyway, and my rook is not protected. So very unfortunate placement of all pieces. But okay, I can be proud of myself because I spent 20 minutes here. Well, just basically trying not to resign immediately. And I managed to find a way to keep the game going. I think I managed to find actually the best practical choice. I took on c6, I played f4, and I said, okay, I'm going to sacrifice this knight. But if black takes, I'm going to take. And look at my pawns. My pawns are beautiful. If she goes away with her queen, for example, I have f5 and I have e6, and I'm actually winning back this bishop. And look at this beauty. Beautiful pawn chain. And I was able, yeah, somehow to pose her difficult practical questions. And she didn't answer those questions correctly. She actually made a mistake straight away. Bishop f7 is not the most precise way. She had to take on e5, and she had to play, I think, bishop d3, if I'm not mistaken. And then somehow unpin her queen. But again, I do have some counterplay. Unfortunately, it's not enough for equality. But again, it's hard to play. It's hard to play for black, and she needs to look for, like, she needs to make precise moves. In the game, she played bishop f7, but as I said, it's a mistake, because after queen f2, I'm cleaning my queen. And here, actually, I played knight d7, which is good to equalize, but I could have played 4 more even here. I could have played rook c1, because here, if she takes, her bishop is pinned, and I'm going to win it back, leaving me with a few extra pawns. And if not, then, I mean, if she doesn't take, then I take on c4, and, well, the game is in full swing. I mean, it's a totally fine position. Instead, I played knight d7. It's also an okay move. I somehow transfer my knight to a safer place. And I manage, even though, I mean, it looks very, very dangerous, right? If her queen gets to this d5 square, it looks as, I mean, it would be devastating for my king. But I'm just in time to play queen e1. If she plays queen d5, I'm going to exchange my queen. And after rook e8, I play rook e2. And same story, queen d5 meets with queen e6. And unfortunately, I mean, I was so relieved and so happy here that I started to think about playing for a win. I didn't evaluate this position correctly. That was my problem, because if I want to make a draw here, I just can play knight e4, knight c3, and it's I mean, it's such a safe position. I mean, not possible to lose. Okay, queen f2 is an okay move. h6 again. If I want to make a draw, knight f4, knight c3, totally fine, like cementing my way, like securing the position. But again, I started to think about something more, and I played f5, and this move was, it's a very aggressive move, but it weakened black squares, and it was very costly. Yeah, I did not evaluate this position correctly, and in time trouble, I mean, I decided to play for, well, for something more, and it's still pretty equal, but I started blundering again. I played queen e3, completely blundering queen b8, and I wasn't able to find the right way to make a draw here already, like to play queen a3, which is much better than queen c3 that I played, because here after 6-6 I played knight e6, and my queen participates in counterplay. So if she plays queen h2, I play knight f8, and I play knight g6, threatening to give a checkmate, and she just has to give perpetual. That was the way to finish the game with a draw, but here I was already, as you can see, running low on time. I had 3 minutes only to make my next 6 moves, and I was not able to find the correct. I mean, I was just, I blundered queen b8, I blundered c6, that followed up after queen c3, and here suddenly the position became very, very like shaky and unpleasant. And even though I was able to make like the strongest move to get out of the time trouble, after that she kept pushing quite correctly. And for example, here was one of the key moments. During the game, I realized that I had to play queen h3. I mean, I saw this move and I was about to make it. I thought that, I mean, it felt the right way, but unfortunately, I thought that my position is still not so bad to, um, to sacrifice a pawn. But here it's closer to a draw. If she takes, I take, and I have my counterplay, even though she has an extra pawn. Her pawns are just too far away, and I think that was the last like real practical chance for me to make a draw. Unfortunately, I decided just to wait, play a3. It's still an okay move, but here just it's so hard. It's so hard. Queen e7 was the last mistake. Yeah, and again the wrong choice. Wrong choice because I had to play 96, but I had to like realize that after king h4 she doesn't have any particular threats, and actually I can just wait. I can play a4, I can even play knight d8 and back to e6, because if she takes there is a perpetual. And it's still a draw. The position is still like holdable. I can still hold it. That unfortunately too much for me. So I was not able to realize that in this particular case, she's just not able to improve her position because of her king. I mean, I have a queen and a knight, and I'm able to create some threats if they are together. And after queen e7, they are together, but just too far away. And yeah, my opponent was just very well played here from her till the end. And yeah, here my king is checkmating that after king c2, bishop e4 comes with a checkmate. Yeah, unfortunately, a very unfortunate start to lose the first game, to lose in such a way, and taking into consideration all those, my feelings for those Grand Prix tournaments, my harsh feelings. Well, it became, from this game on, it became very hard. It became hard to get back, and I was struggling a lot in the first rounds. So let's see the next round, round number 2. I played against Bella Khatinashvili, also quite an eventful game. Well, here I just forgot my opening theory. I played one line in the Catalan that is supposed to be a very well-known theory for someone, but for some reason I played knight. I mixed everything up. I mean, I had to play queen c7 and play knight a6, and I have after castle play e5, and it's already been played in practice, and black has a very good compensation for this pawn, and well, a very complicated position, but with equal chance. Unfortunately for me, I played knight f to d7, and straight out of the opening I dived into positions with problems, and I was struggling very hard throughout the whole game to equalize it. I almost managed to do it, but then well, let's see. Yeah, I didn't quite actually manage to do it completely, and in time trouble yeah, I played queen a7, which was a huge mistake. I had to repeat the position rook a8, but I saw some ideas for white, and I knew that bell is not going to repeat the position. So I decided to improve it, but after queen a7, king g2, I just realized it's so hard to play. It's I mean, we have equal material, but my pieces are so poorly placed, and all those pawns and rook d7, her control over the d file, I mean, everything screams in terms of white's advantage. But what I can be proud of, I fought very hard, and I managed to find, you know, practical chances in time trouble, which is very hard. I played a rook e6, realizing that it might be hard, again, in practical terms, under having under 1 minute on the clock, to assess correctly the queen's endgame. So I realized that my opponent would likely refrain from exchanging. But in that case, yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't able to find the right continuation here, which was queen a1, with the idea after rook b3 to play queen f1. And here I have a very good compensation. After rook f3, I can play rook e7. My queen is very active. I always have ideas with rook a7 and rook a8. I mean, I knew that I have to bring my queen to the first rank, but again, I wasn't able to find the right way, because here I realized that if I play queen e1 here, it's not on f1, it's on e1, and that lets white play king g2. And that's why I played queen to d2, and again I played e4, hoping that my opponent would, again in time trouble, would try to exchange queens. And you know, as we say, rook endgames, they're always drawn, and I was right to evaluate this endgame as a drawn endgame. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to perform, to prove it, because of this time trouble. Yeah, here I had to play rook b7, forcing the pawn go to b4, and then rook a7. Issue goes rook d6, and I get back, and this is I should be able to hold this position. But unfortunately for me, since I was not able to evaluate like this position correctly, you know, I was running again, I was playing on 30 seconds, I decided to play king g4, which is a bad move. Although after b4 I had to come back, but it's so hard to come back. I played e3, and that's already losing. But b5 is a mistake. Yeah, b5 is not winning. I mean, it's a very complicated endgame. But somehow I think rook c4 is winning, and she has these ideas of f5. She played b5, which is a draw again, but I made a mistake anyway in this endgame. I made a mistake, but it's quite far from obvious mistake. I played g5, which is losing here. I thought this is such a clever way to exchange as many pawns as possible, but it's losing. I think I had to play b2 and hold this one. I was afraid for some reason, because my pawns stand so badly, and I have to play king f5. And somehow, you know, I mean, it feels like your king is almost checkmated. But it's okay. There is no checkmate. There is no checkmate, and it's a draw. That's the way I had to continue. But I played g5. And this one loses, because he captures. And she had to go king e3 and king d4, I believe. But the winning way is quite, I mean, it's very far from obvious. I don't even remember it now. I mean, this computer doesn't show it. It's not powerful enough. But I think it's just something like e4. Here it shows it. Yeah. And then, yeah, and then e5. And somehow her pawns are just too strong. So a check, like, and then she sacrifices the rook at some point. And those pawns are stronger than this rook. Like, there is no way this poor rook can stop those two pawns. And that was possible for white to win. But after king f3, yeah, that's an easy draw. That's already an easy draw. We played a little bit more, but yeah, just a check. So another hard game. Another hard game. And yeah, Dinara's performance was amazing. That's really a tournament of her life so far, right? I'm very happy for her. Coming back from the last place in Munich to win this tournament, well, it's always impressive. So very happy for Dinara. Okay, let's get going. So the second round was a very hard fought draw, and I was very happy not to lose. And the third round was not easier. Was not easier because I was playing against Alexandra Goryachkina, and I misplayed completely out of the opening. Not in the opening, but you know, after it. So I played the Italian game. She played bishop b6, quite a rare line, but I think in connection with a5 is not that precise. And I got a nice position. But here I just had to castle. I don't know, I had troubles with white in this tournament. For some reason, I didn't make good, obvious developing moves. Because I had to castle, and then play rook e1, d4. I mean, something normal. But okay, I decided not to exchange bishops. Well, very hard. I played d4, still fine. But after castling, I had to castle. And the position, well, it's about equal, I believe. Maybe slightly better for white, but very slightly. But totally fine. Instead, I made a terrible move, bishop e3, for some reason. Rook e8. And, well, here it's already harder to castle, right? Because if I castle, she takes. Well, it was still possible to castle, yes. I had to castle again, but I just didn't want to. For some reason, I didn't want to castle. I played queen d2, another very, very terrible move, and I completely forgot about bishop c6. And here it's black who has a very nice position. My pawns are like ruined. And she played c6 and c5, and yeah, maybe that's not a lost position completely, but I have to, you know, somehow stabilize very fast on the queen side. I was not able to do it. I completely misplayed here. I was trying to organize something on the king side, which is nearly impossible with those two knights, like securing the place. Still had to do something like bishop b5, a4, b3. I had to somehow try to blockade this queen side. Then the position would be very close and fine. But after queen b6, it's too late, because now she goes to a6 and she goes b5. And since she has a pawn's majority on the queen side, her position is just so much better, and I have no counterplay, nothing. I mean, she's just pushing her pawns up, improving her position, and I just need to, you know, wait and see. A very sad position to play on, but okay, I try to resist this urge of resigning immediately. And she was improving. Yeah, you see, she created a fast pawn. She now is transferring her knights, trying to put pressure on my weak pawns. Okay, I'm here doing whatever I'm able to do to stabilize the position. But at the end, I decided, yeah, to give up this one pawn. Well, it doesn't really matter. It was still a double pawn, but try to get some counterplay. And she blundered, surprisingly, in a position which is already very close to win. Instead of playing queen a6, almost like forcing me to take on a6, because otherwise knight would go to, and almost forcing me into this endgame, which I think is, well, it's quite pleasant to play. Although maybe it's still close to a draw, because if we get like 4 pawns versus 3, rook and bishop versus rook and knight, it might be draw. But she played queen to b7, which is a completely, I was so surprised she did play it, because you don't expect such blunders from Alexandra, because then, I mean, immediately I took on b4, and unfortunately I wasn't able like to play my best here. Knight c6, I think, was like the most unpleasant move for my opponent would have been. Because here I can play g4, and I can play, I mean, I can start to create some counterplay. Queen e1, I think, and after rook c6, g4 also could be pretty unpleasant. I mean, of course the computer would show like equality in every single line. But in practical terms of view, when she was like, pressing the whole game and suddenly having like 13 minutes on her clock till the end of the game with the king, with against the queen, that's not so obvious. So knight c6 could have been a nice option here and here as well. Here it's even easier in terms of finding it, but queen a2, yeah, not letting her take this pawn, and then heading to d5, and it's black who has to be careful here. It's black who has to be very careful. And I have more time again. Should be easier to play, but unfortunately I went to queen a8 and e4 line, which is like it's a fourth line, but it's also kind of forcing to. I'm desperately trying to make a draw here, but in fact I had to think of something more. I had to play on, but yeah, I wasn't able to find it. I wasn't able to feel, the momentum that it would be right to play on. Like still probably a dead draw, but in terms of practical game, who knows? I mean, maybe. Yeah, unfortunately, missed it. That was able to save the game, which is a nice achievement considering the fact that I had such an inferior position throughout the whole game. Okay, let's go on. So you see, I'm still struggling. The third round, I made another very hard and very complicated and long draw. But I was happy making those draws because, again, when you're having a hard tournament on those Grand Prix tournaments, it's so easy to collapse. It's so easy to just start losing. And you see that I was on the verge of losing to Bella Khatanashvili in the second round. I was on the verge to losing to Alexandra Goryachkina, but I managed to fight back. I managed to somehow stabilize emotionally and psychologically after this first round defeat, and kept going. And then there was the fourth round game. Oof, another very nice game. I think one of the nicest games that I played. A very complicated one, but Harika, again, she completely surprised me in the opening. She repeated the Catalan opening, the same line, similar line to what Bella Khatanashvili played in the second round with me, but she played Queen c1. She prepared this one, but I was also very well prepared. I analyzed this line at home. Here I managed not to mix anything up and played according to my home preparation till this moment, where Harika played knight to e4. It's not the best move, I think, in the position, but a possible move. I captured on h4. I played queen h5, which is okay. And here, unfortunately, I made a mistake. Not a blunder, but mistake. I wasn't able to find. There are two good moves here, both connected with the idea to leaving this square open for my rook, which is thinking about getting transferred to the king side. Unfortunately, I stepped onto the square, and that makes my position hard to play. I had to play queen h7 or even queen h8, the computer suggests, which of course is not the move that you would consider during the game. Queen h7, and then the position is very interesting and very hard, I think, for white to play. Because, yeah, she has an extra pawn. She can even win the second one, but it doesn't make your life easier. I have all those nice ideas. Those pawns, they are gonna be lost, at least one of them. And I have a very nice compensation. And if she plays something like queen h1, king h1, then I always have this idea of transferring the rook. And my, pieces start working so well together. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make this move. Missed it, queen h6. And then this coordination. I mean, the pieces are not so well coordinated. Okay, I played nice from that moment on, but yeah, I made a huge mistake, positional mistake. Here the position is okay. Again, it's very complicated, very interesting to play, but I made a huge blunder. I played e4. I had to keep the pawn on f5. I had to keep this pressure and this tension going. I don't know, I had to do rook e7, any move, I think rook e6 is even better. But I played f4, and that's a terrible move. I mean, I release this tension. She can immediately offer this queen's exchange, and because there is no tension, there is, I mean, my pawns are just weaker than hers, and this endgame is better for white. Maybe still holdable for black, but better for white. But instead she played queen to g2, which is a mistake. Here I think she had to play queen g6 again. And here I was able to find a good plan. I mean, my plan was to stabilize g7 and then try to bring my bishop to the long diagonal, which I did. Although here I was unhappy that I played rook e7 immediately instead of like including this b3 a3, but the computer, I mean, proves my game. It says that I played well. I played well. Okay, we won't dive into all those complications. I played well. But I thought, I mean, during the game when she made this knight d3 move, I thought that I'm losing. Because, I mean, I was so happy already and relieved, and I thought, okay, after knight d3, I was going to play knight e4, and I was about to play this move, to make this move on the board, and I realized that I just lose after rook c6. That's it. The game is over. And I was having, like, I had 16 minutes. I spent 14 minutes desperately trying to find a way. Actually, I managed to find the best move in the position, which I'm extremely proud of, because I think it's a very hard move. And it's a very hard situation when you, like, you know, a second ago you think that you're completely fine, and after knight d3 you realize that after knight takes e4, rook takes e6, you just lose. She wants to play rook g1, she wants to take on b4, you need to do something, and yeah, here it's one of the proudest moments of the tournament. Very, very hard move to find. And I use this yeah, exactly. Bishop takes e4 also loses to rook takes f6, and I use this elimination method, if you wish. So I think I calculated every single line possible, everything, every single, and I was able to find the right, to notice the right move, just having less than 2 minutes on the clock. Because as the minute I managed to find it, I felt that that's the move. That's the move. And by the way, Nicola, thank you so much for resubscribing for 42 months in a row. Wow. Thank you so much. Okay. And the move, I won't torture you. I won't torture you because, yeah, as I said in the game, I spent almost 15 minutes working very hard trying to find it. It's king to g8. Wow. Yeah, the idea is I'm preparing bishop takes e4. I wanted to capture on e4. And that's exactly what I did after knight takes b4. And if she plays rook a to g1, I'm already able to play king h7. And again, I'm ready to capture on e4. But I think rook a to g1 was still the best way to proceed. She made a mistake. She captured on b4. Well, very hard to resist. I captured on e4. And here, unfortunately for me, I missed the moment. But again, I had just 2 minutes. I didn't even think about it. And I thought that she blundered. Yeah, that was like a position of mutual blunders. I mean, she blundered knight takes c5, knight takes b3. But instead, it's a good blunder. It's a trap. And I fell into this trap. But since Harika thought that she blundered, she offered me a draw. And I was so happy and relieved to accept it. But in fact, here is another position, which, well, if I would find this move, I would win this game, I think. But it's so hard to spot. I mean, you have to, like, first of all, you have to understand that knight takes c5. Well, it doesn't lose, but it's not the move to play, because now after knight takes c5, after rook takes c5, black cannot take on b3. I will explain later why. And then you have to understand that, which is already quite a hard process. And yeah, of course, you want to protect it. On rook f5, you think run into a fork, but in fact, it runs, but I have king f7. Counter-attack. And I'm winning here. Rook to f5 was a very tricky move, because if white, I mean, I have this rook g5, tricky idea with just a checkmating threat. And yeah, knight c5, knight takes b3, already in the air. So rook f5 would have been very good. Instead I played knight c5, blundering that after rook takes c5, I'm not able to take on b3. But luckily, yes, Harik offered me draw. Otherwise, I would need to find very hard continuations. Yeah, here this one loses, and I noticed it because of rook g1. And if I capture, there is a checkmate, just checkmate coming. King h7, rook h5, king f8, another checkmate. Suddenly a drawback of king j8. Yeah, but again, Harik offered to draw, and I was happy to accept it and to move on. A very complicated game, and I'm pretty happy with this game. In terms of the quality, of course, we made mistakes, but round five, yeah, unfortunately, I spoiled this one. I was on the verge of winning. Against Dinara Wagner, she was already pressing in the tournament. She was already one of the leaders, or the sole leader, and she surprised me with knight c6. She's never played, I think, this line. But out of the opening, I got a very good position. I mean, okay, this position is about equal, but then she opted for h6 and g5 and f5 plan, which is a completely bad idea for black because it weakens her king a lot, and I played well up to a certain point. f4, yeah, unfortunately here I didn't go for the exchange sacrifice. I could have taken an f4 and take on g5 and play king e2, and the computer evaluated this position as a completely winning for white, but well, I wasn't sure about this evaluation is connected with some very precise ideas against playing against those pawns. I was so happy with my position overall, I didn't see the reason to go for those sacrifices. And here I just had to play knight e2, castle, play knight f3. I mean, she has so weak pawns, weak king, weak pawns, and I have +2, I think, the evaluation of this position. Instead, I spoiled it completely. I started to play some weird moves. I lost the tempo. I was very unhappy about the fact that I lost the tempo, because here after knight f3 she can already play bishop f7, which is totally fine. Okay, I can retreat my queen and my position is still very close to winning, but I decided, okay, to somehow go on and play on, and poof, and yeah, I complicated the position. The position is still winning, but it just requires another level of calculation and attention. B takes c4. Okay, queen e2 is a mistake. I had to play rook h2 g1, which is very close to winning. Because if she takes on a4, there is knight f3, and even though it seems that black is like almost checkmating, they're not. They're not checkmating, but of course you have to like calculate a lot and evaluate a lot. And instead I played queen e2, and I gave my opponent some chances to get an advantage. She didn't find the right way. d5 or rook d8, there were rook b8, yeah, rook e to b8, I think. No, or rook a to b8, yeah, was one of the like best moves. But she opted for queen a3 and offered to draw. Yeah, the position is almost equal here. I was happy at this point with the draw, but very unhappy with the fact how I mishandled the position that I got out of the opening, because again, it was a completely winning position. Just with simple moves such as knight d2 alongside castle, knight f3, I could have gotten like a huge, I mean, it is already a huge advantage for white. I could have won this game, but unfortunately I spoiled it. But the sixth round was the game of the tournament for me. But I think since I need to run now, yeah, I'm not going to hurry and try to show you everything. I will continue my recap tonight. I'm not sure after or before this chess plate quickly, they said. Chess played quickly event. Let me find the link. Let me share with you this link. And then we can, it's gonna be a 2 hours event. A 2 hours event. And I will finish my recap then. I think that would be best, because otherwise, you know, I will need to hurry up now and to go over the next 6 rounds. The next 6 rounds very fast, and I don't want to hurry up because, well, they were nice, interesting rounds. At 6 p.m. Central European time, it's gonna start. So I think I'm gonna play first. Yeah. Oh, we'll see. We'll see, because I have an appointment at 4 p.m. and I'm not sure how fast I will be able to get back home. So before the event, Chess Played Quick event at 6 p.m. Central European time tonight, or after, I will be able to finish this recap, and yeah, we'll go over 6 next rounds, which were pretty dense as well. And I'm happy that everything is working well. I'm happy that everything is working well. I'm not sure how I'll be able to. I hope that the sound is working as well as the first time, or at least I haven't changed anything, and hopefully you can hear me well, because I'm doing a distance stream. It's something new. I'm in Paris. I'm in Paris right now. It's like a stopover, changing my suitcases. Changing my suitcases before my trip to St. Louis. I'm going to St. Louis on Wednesday. And this morning I made, well, I started my final recap of the FIDE Women's Grand Prix series that just finished in Nicosia on Saturday. And well, I talked about my first rounds, and then I needed to go. And since I was planning to do a Chess Play Quick Edition tonight anyway, I decided to, you know, to do the second part and not to be in rush, and not fast forward the last 5 rounds. So let's see. Yes, Hakim. Yeah, and I was actually thanking my wonderful hosts a lot, and Hakim was one of them. They made it possible. All three legs that I played, they watched carefully and attentively with all of you live, and of course I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful. Okay, let's do it. Let's go to the recap. So, and let's hope that everything is going to work as well as the first time it worked. Okay, here we go. So in Nicosia, yeah, it didn't go very well in Nicosia for me. It's very hard. I didn't lose many games. I lost just 2 games, but I didn't win either, and it was a very hard tournament. And unfortunately, my performance there took only the 10th place. Did not allow me to get to the 2 top places of the series. I finished only on the 4th place of the series, but again, nevertheless, it's the best result of mine throughout the series that are very, usually, I mean, originally they're very difficult for me. And yeah, Hakim, well, you were the lucky one, because it was the only game of the Nicosia tournament that I won, and it's a very nice game, actually. So let me get to the game very fast. Am I recording? I'm not recording, but I will try, since I'm streaming it anyway, I will try to like combine those 2 streams together and put them on YouTube for you to rewatch. for you to rewatch later, but it's gonna happen a little later since I'm on the move. I'm on the move. Okay, so let's see. Let's let's discuss this game. Yeah, it's a game with against Nana Zagnidze from the 6th round. I was -1 at the point. I lost the first game to Tanjong B, and then I made 4 very hard fought draws. And well, here I was on a decent, on an average score of -1. Not everything is lost with such a score, but not a lot to expect. And of course, I wanted to improve my score, probably not exactly with this game, but it was the 6th round in a row, quite a hard situation, so many tense games, and it was the game before the rest days. Of course, I wanted to finish this game well, to go on the rest day in a good mood. And let's see, I was playing black, and it was a so-called the right was in opening. And Nana surprised me with her opening choice because she didn't have many games in database with this opening, but I think mostly she either played bishop g5 here, which one of the main lines, or queen a4 immediately, another very played line. And in this game, in this particular game, she played bishop f4, which is not seen very often, but it's a very complicated line. And in this particular position, white usually plays knight e2, black replies with g5, and then a huge theory with many different options for white, bishop g3, bishop e3, and a completely chaotic positions, very complicated position. And well, I was very surprised that she decided to play this line, but in fact she didn't play knight e2, she played g3, which doesn't seem to be a very good move. Bishop f5 is fine, queen a4, and here I did not find the best continuation, unfortunately. It seems that the best plan for black would be here connected with preparing the move b5, either by playing a6 or by playing rook b8, in order to have this b5 move and trying to get this queen away from this diagonal. I thought for quite a long time, and I decided to play queen e7, protecting this bishop, which is needed, for example, after knight e5, knight castle, knight e6, and thanks to the fact that the queen is protecting the bishop, I can take with the pawn. And now, if she is capturing the pawn, because she's so undeveloped, I mean, she might face serious problems, for example, after rook f2 e8, she doesn't have time to develop her bishop because of knight e3 and queen e2, and of course she didn't capture that. Just too dangerous. Bishop g2. I spent quite a lot of time here, and I thought that I think that I found the the exact move order in order to equalize. Captured with bishop a3, pushing the rook to d1 because the rook on the c file is better placed here, since white's plan is often connected with the c4 advance. So I'm kind of pushing the rook away, and here I played bishop d6. Again, I'm keeping this pawn unprotected, just hoping after queen takes c6 I will get enough compensation, for example, after something like that, because again white is lagging in development of her pieces, and well, that means that even though she captured this pawn, but she has a lot of problems to take care of. Again, she decided not to capture it. She exchanged bishops and castle. But here, thanks to the position of my bishop on f1 that keeps this square under control, and me putting my rook on to the b file, I have a very nice control of the b file, even though my pawn structure is a little bit damaged, but I have other things to be happy about. But again, the position seems to be rather equal. It's very hard to imagine that something bad can happen to white. So we both are trying to improve our pieces little by little. And here she played h4. And it seems quite, it seems as a natural move. But I was actually very happy because immediately after h4 I saw, well, not everything that happened in the game, but I saw some ideas appearing on the board, and those ideas, surprisingly, are connected with creating some kind of attack to this king. I mean, opening up the h file, putting my queen there, my rook there, and getting to h2. I mean, seems quite improbable, but I decided to give it a try. h6, e3, g5. And probably I scared my opponent with such a play, and she made a mistake here, quite a mistake. I think she had to play in the center, you know, this very important rule in chess. If your opponent plays on one side of the board and you have a chance to play in the center, do it usually. It's a good idea. And here is exactly the moment to try to open up the center because, okay, g5 is always double-edged, right? If white doesn't do anything, then yeah, exactly, I have this plan in mind, which can be very poisonous, but white has some moves to make. And she has to try to use this time in order not to let me, I mean, doing anything on the king side, in order not to give me time of make those things happen. And she probably was very scared, or vice versa. She saw that it's like looks like a suicide, and now she's gonna bring her queen and gonna attack me, and she played queen to d1, which seems to be quite inaccurate due to my next move. And as I said, c4 was the move to continue. I think c4, and then if I play rook b4, then she can play queen d1, or complications, and even if I capture on c4, I'm gonna have like triple pawns on the c file, completely crazy position. Instead, she played queen to d1, and after queen a3, suddenly she started having like serious problems because I switched. Yeah, I was thinking about getting my pieces onto the h file, but now I completely switched the sides, and now I'm thinking about this plan, rook a to b8 and rook b1, which is very, very unpleasant. I mean, if white is doing nothing, after rook b8 and rook b1, she can resign. So here she started to try to open up the position. She played c4, rook a to b8, now rook b1 is a threat. She played king to h2, and unfortunately for me, I spent quite a lot of time here trying to make this line work. I capture, queen h5, and queen c1, and like I'm almost checkmating the king, but unfortunately queen takes d5 comes. I cannot give away the bishop because then the king will just go to h3, so I have to play bishop g6. But in that case, okay, white is not in any danger because again, this square is vacant for the king. She can capture on the 5. No, the rook is hanging. I mean, she can give a check. I think many think the rook is hanging. She can play e4, just opening up this diagonal and protecting the rook. So nothing dangerous for white here. Although, I mean, she has to keep an eye on me getting the rook to h8. But I decided to improve this line. And I think I found the best move in the position, which is g4. And this move, well, it's not so obvious move. I didn't want to make it because it feels that as it's closing the bishop. But, okay, this pawn is not about closing the bishop. It's about taking this square under control, the h3 square. And now the king is not going to be able to escape if I manage to play rook b1 and queen c1. She played queen f1, played rook b1, and I think I played very well here. Not so obvious moves, a lot of different lines, but I managed to find the right continuation all the time. Bishop takes d5 here doesn't work because of queen takes e3. My opponent played queen to e1. That's probably why she had to play queen e1 immediately. But okay, it's very complicated. And here she played queen to e1, queen takes a2, and I saw the winning consequences here. I saw the winning consequences that actually happened in the game, and it was very tempting to set up a trap. queen to c4 because I knew, I mean, I saw that rook takes a5 is losing, and the only move that she should have played is rook c1. Rook c1. Here I can, I mean, repeat the position. I can get to b3. In that case, I'm not able to win the way I won. The way I won in the game. Made the music a little bit lower. Hope it's okay. We'll turn it back on when probably I should make myself a little bit louder. Anyway, okay, let's get going. And even though I'm not able to win here in the way the same way I won in the game, but I still have a pretty advantage, and there are different lines. For example, like I need just to get my queen to the H file, right? And I can get it by different in different ways. Queen b4, queen b8, queen b6, queen h6. So the position really is very, very dangerous. But okay, I got to be careful. Sometimes I can escape. But in the game, it went easier. Just capture it on a5 and it loses on the spot because I have this very nice line, which again I happen to see. Queen c6 and heading to h6, and it seems as white can save herself by playing e4, but in fact it's not enough. Even though she's opening up her queen and like putting having this square under control, but I have queen g6, and there are several other squares on the h file. And yeah, unfortunately for white, there is nothing she can do, so she just resigned, and I think that was a very nice game, a very fast game, a very convincing win, and what is more important, I like went on this 50% march, which is a very nice place to get going. But unfortunately, after the rest day, something wrong started happening to me. Okay, so after the rest day, round number 7, I completely misplayed my game. Completely gave away the whole game against Bibisara Subaeva. Just forgot my opening lines and ideas. Yeah, there is this line, quite dangerous. I mean, for black, because white can sacrifice a pawn. I use it. There is such a possibility to sacrifice it, but as now I understand, it has to be connected with very precise play, because well, white did give away a pawn, and the idea behind this is that white has time to blockade this d pawn and give black a hard time of developing. But instead I forgot everything. I played knight e3, which is a nice move. It's an okay move, especially since black played badly here. She made a mistake. She played a6, which is very tempting. Of course, she wants to kick this bishop away, but I think she had to play d5 immediately, or d5. Yeah, because d6, this knight is still pinned, and I can grab this pawn. And probably d5 was the right way to continue. Instead, she played a6, and I could have gotten a very nice position, but I should have noticed a nice idea, which I noticed as soon as I played bishop c4. And unfortunately, this thing just kept happening in Nicosia. I make a move, I see the right one, or I make a move, I see that I made a blunder. Just too many blunders in Nicosia. Yeah, they kept happening. And yes, here is the same situation. Again, it's white to move. White can get or fight for an opening advantage, and it's the only way like to play. All other moves yeah, give advantage to black. And this move is bishop d6. Very nice move, because if black captures, I capture with a knight. I'm threatening to win the queen. And after rook a5, I think, which is the only way, so the idea is to sacrifice the queen, but I play a4, and I get a very good position. Even though this engine doesn't believe me, but a stronger engine shows a very big advantage here for white. Yes, instead I made a huge mistake. Bishop c4, bishop a4 was the way to continue. If well, bishop d6 was the way to continue, but bishop a4 was much better, because after bishop c4, black immediately she could have played d5, which is stronger than what she did in the game. But d6 is good enough to pose many problems, because here white has to fight for equality, and it's not so obvious, and it's quite complicated, and I didn't find the way. I mean, I spent almost 30 minutes here and failed to do so. I mean, and the rest, I mean, black played just perfectly. Like every single move she made the best possible move. h6, g5 is very strong. Bishop g3 would have been better here, but again would have posed more problems to black. But okay, bishop d2, I just lose very fast. Bishop e6 is a very strong move. Knight takes d6, because here, unfortunately for me, after bishop b4 there is queen d8, and yeah, it's just dominating, and like an extra pawn, two extra pawns, better position. Well, I kept going, but it was clear that it's game over, unfortunately. So that's a very bad game. And the next games that I played, it was also a very bad game. So I played two like very bad games in round 7 and 8 that determined the way my tournament went. Unfortunately, the second part didn't quite work out for me. Again, I was playing white. My opponent went to the line she's never played, and she surprised me. Although it's a bad line, she played queen e7. I mean, I knew queen f6 move. I played several games after queen f6, but after queen e7, somehow I completely started blundering and playing, making terrible moves and decisions. So here, black's plan is connected with tactical ideas. Knight f6, d5, knight d4, knight b4. Queen takes e7 is totally okay. It's giving white a slight advantage to a pair of two bishops, better pawn structure in the endgame. It's totally and completely fine. But queen d1 is much stronger. Much stronger, and after this move, I don't know what she was hoping for, because this position, well, it's just worse for black. Again, pair of two bishops, no tricks connected with d5, and a very, very nice positional advantage. I played queen d3, which is an okay move, but somehow there is no reason to get under knight before d5. And that's why, I mean, here I decided to secure the spot, not to calculate knight before and d5. Instead of playing knight c3, which is the only logical move, of course you have to consider knight b4 and d5, and I think that's the way black should continue, or d5 immediately. But after a3, white is just losing. I made 9 moves and the position is lost, and I'm playing white, and it was such a shock. I completely missed this d5 and knight d4 idea. I completely forgot about it, and a3. Husband was very. He said that I mean, one shall not even consider such moves as a3. Yeah. Develop your pieces. For some reason, I forget about developing my pieces. What to do? Should always remind yourself that in the opening you should develop your pieces first. Don't move your side pawns unless completely necessary. Okay, luckily for me, I'm not losing on the spot. Luckily for me, I haven't checked with a stronger range on this move, but I mean, during the game, I was really afraid. I was really afraid that I was, getting mated or something like this. It seems that I'm not, but still, quite unpleasant. And well, here I fought okay, even though the computer thinks that knight c3 was the way to play, but there I'm like really dying really dying to make a draw, and somehow I played before a more active move, and here I spent a lot of time trying to see a way to survive. I played what happened in the game. Well, the computer says that it's a completely lost position, but it's not so easy for black, especially my opponent was getting low on time. And here she played rook c1, which is hard to resist. I think moves such as rook a8, or maybe she played well. I mean, yeah, here it's fine. Yeah, here rook a8 is so much stronger. But I mean, somehow barely, I managed not to lose material. And my opponent, again, she was 1 minute or 12 moves before time trouble, before the time control, and she decided to repeat the moves. I was very lucky and relieved because it was a terrible game. So round 7 and 8 was a complete disaster. I played very badly in the opening with white pieces, which is of course such a bad luck. I mean, I still need to understand why it happened and draw some conclusions, because these two games, they just left me with no chances, or almost no chances, of qualifying to the candidates. Okay, let's get going. So 7-8 rounds, complete disaster for me. Round number 9, well, I was quite relieved that Kateryna decided to take it easy on me and went directly out of the opening to the very well-known drawish line. There are different ways for black to continue, and if you checked my course on the Open Italian, this one, yes, the Loud Italian, I'm discussing there this line as well. But yeah, since Kateryna is not playing this line usually, and I knew that there is a drawish possibility, like a possibility to make a fast draw, I played it, and after queen b3, yeah, that's a very well-known theoretical repetition of moves. So we made a very fast draw, and I think it was needed for me, to take a break and just somehow to recharge my batteries, because I mean, round 7 and 8 were just complete nightmare. And then I finished the tournament with 2 very hard-fought games, very complicated games. In round 10, I played against Polina Shuvalova, who, again, she surprised me with her opening choice, but I was very well prepared because I play this line myself with black sometimes. So she opted for this Taimanov variation, this move order, and I played knight takes e6 and knight e4. And that's a long, theoretical, crazy-looking line where, yeah, the king marches on forward, but survives. And the game goes, it's still a theoretical line. Here there are like main moves, queen a5 and queen b6, 2 main moves for black. b3, well, she played c5. She continued to play very, very fast. I mean, Polina was very well prepared in this tournament theoretically. She often finished her games being with like 10 minutes more on her clock than at the beginning of the game. And I started to think here, because I analyzed this position at home, but of course I couldn't remember all the lines, and I couldn't expect her to play this line. So I spent more than 15 minutes here, but I did what I was planning to do, king g3, but Polina continued to blitz out her moves. She played g5 pretty fast, and h6. And here, okay, the computer suggests h4 as being the strongest move. I played knight d3, which is still okay, and here, not the strongest move, but okay, Polina was also out of her opening book, and she played rook c8, which is not the strongest, but it's very hard to understand, evaluate. So let's see what actually happened later. So I got this endgame with an extra pawn, but of course black has good compensation. And here I misplayed. I mean, I spent quite a lot of time and played knight e4. It's not the right move. I mean, I should have kept the knight on the 3 because it's protecting this pawn, and what is more important, it keeps this e5 square under control in case black prepares and plays d6, which is very crucial, as we will see in the game. And moving my knight away from f4 was a serious mistake, which actually let all the like minimal advantage that I have here. Maybe it's not so minimal, but yeah, it just let it slip away. I had to play h4, probably h5 then. King f2, bishop e2. Do the same thing what I did in the game, but just keeping the knight on the 3, because moving the knight to f4 let black with a tempo play knight e6, then play king d7. So she got this time to play king d7 and prepare d6. I had to make those weird looking moves in order not to lose my pawn, in order to move my rook away from this diagonal and prepare this g3 move after rook g4. But yeah, unfortunately for me, rook e3 was another mistake. I think I had to play bishop e2 here. That's completely, I must have played bishop e2. But somehow I was worried that she would take, but of course her knight is so strong that it would be a dream come true for me to exchange those pieces. And after bishop e2, if she retreats her rook, I can play bishop d1, protecting this pawn and keeping this e5 square relatively under control, because after bishop e3, no, rook e3, she played d6, and suddenly e5 is coming. e5 is very strong. If I take here, she takes on f4. I think I had to take anyway. I had to take, and I had to like go for this line, and let's see, cool. I had to make a draw this way. 96, and if I play bishop d5, then there is rook g4. So yeah, unfortunately I don't have time for bishop d5. I have to play king g3, but well, it should be a draw. But it was I must have taken on b7. Instead I played knight d3, which is a mistake, very serious mistake. But my opponent replied with another mistake. She played e4, and I was so relieved, because f4, well, I didn't know that I was losing, but I think I'm nearly losing here. I cannot take because the bishop is hanging, and here I cannot take because of rook f6. And if I go away, then yes, and she plays e4, and just winning. So I was going to take on f5, but I was going to play king g1, but it's still very bad. Bishop f3 is a wonderful move that black has here. And it's not the only move. Bishop c4 or bishop c8, I think, also gives an advantage to black. So that's the way she could have gotten a very serious advantage. Instead, she played e4, and we went back to the situation where I have some pawn for, but she has compensation, and it was so much easier for me to play from now on. But unfortunately, I missed some very nice chances here a few times. First of all, here was a chance for me to play g4. And somehow I decided to repeat the position, then play g4, but of course she already didn't go for king f6 the second time. Yeah, that was like the biggest chance of the game for me to turn the tables around and really to get a very, very serious advantage, because I'm still a pawn up. And if I manage to destroy this pawn chain, then I'm gonna end up with an extra pawn, an extra side pawn, and yeah, it can be just a winning endgame suddenly. But unfortunately for me, as I said, I decided to repeat moves because for some reason I thought that king f6 is the only move here. I don't know why, but actually Polina found much stronger move. Bishop 7. Here I played g4 anyway, but here, yes, unfortunately she moved her bishop to the right place to protect this pawn on f5. But nevertheless, I found a very nice last chance to complicate the game. I sacrificed my exchange because many geometrical motives here, and bishop g4, Unfortunately, yes, unfortunately I cannot play, I mean, I can play rook f4, but then she has a streak, which doesn't quite work in the game. I mean, I played knight c3, and she decided to use this streak, and she missed completely knight d5, and I missed it. And it's such a nice move, such a nice an idea. I mean, in chess, you don't have to take back if your opponent takes your pawn, and you always have to remember that. And I mean, I instantly captured back on g4. That's a huge mistake that many players do. You should not. You should not automatically make any moves automatically. You should always, you know, ask yourself, are there any other moves? And yeah, the instant I made this rook takes g4, I realized that there was knight d5 possibility. Well, luckily for Polina, because she also blundered this idea. She's not losing on the spot, but she, if I would have played knight d5, she would need to find the only move, rook g2, g6, because otherwise, I mean, if she, well, of course, if she takes, then I take, and I win 2 rooks. That's very cute. And I have 2 extra pawns, so it's a completely winning position. If she goes away with the rook, then unfortunately for her, this knight h6 doesn't work anymore, because this square is protected. And again, I'm 2 pawns up, completely winning position. So of course she would have found, I'm sure she would find this rook g6, but in that case, it's not over. Rook f4, and well, there are still some chances. There are still some chances. Knight d4, I think, is the easiest way to make a draw. Knight c2 and then knight b4, something like this. But it's, I mean, it's quite complicated, right? I mean, I think it's impossible to play in a practical game knight b4, because you're always scared that this pawn is going to be lost and the game is going to be over. So, I mean, unfortunately, I missed this chance. I played rook g4, knight h6, and even though here, okay, I spent some time trying to calculate knight d5, but here knight d5 doesn't do anything. And yeah, I played on because I was so upset at this point that I missed this knight d5 chance. And I've played on and on, but this position is completely drawn. H6 was quite risky. Of course, I should have agreed on a draw, but okay, still a draw. She had to play rook d4, and then I would need to play for another 50 moves with knight versus rook. But luckily for me, she didn't play rook c6 here as well. She played rook g6, and I was in time to get her pawn on b6, and we still played a few more moves, but just a draw. I'm not able to improve the position. Yeah, a draw. Meaning that, yeah, all my chances to qualify for the candidates from this series disappeared. No more chances after this draw, because I knew that both Lagno and Goryachkina would make a draw in the last round, and even if I win, it's not gonna change anything. Oops. But okay, I played a very nice game anyway. The last game of the series, of the tournament for me, I opted for the French defense for the first time in my life. Not for the first time. For the first time was, I checked my database. The first time was in 1998, in my first ever chess Olympiad. I lost that game, although I had a good position. And here, I think I surprised my opponent. I surprised her, and she opted for a very safe line, exchanging queens. But in this line, there is no advantage for white, so I managed to equalize pretty easily and even get a very good position. I had a very nice chance in this game to win, but it was very complicated. Even when checking with the computer and seeing its evaluation after the game, I couldn't believe it. Okay, so she misplayed a little bit out of the opening of in this endgame, but okay, she found a very nice resource c4, and here I had a chance. I had a chance to sacrifice this exchange. Of course, I saw it and considered it. And here, white has a choice. And I think most of the players would go to b2. Wait, sorry. And after c3 would go to a2 and consider their position pretty good. But in fact, it's lost. It's almost a lost position for white, because surprisingly, and don't ask me why, but she doesn't have any counterplay against my plan connected. Oops. So I kind of I'm improving my position here in order not to let her play g4, and then I think I play rook a8, transfer my bishop to f7 or g8 to this diagonal, and the game is over. It's a lost position. Hard to understand why. Hard to understand why, for example, rook e7 is not helping, but it's just not. So let's see why. Rook a8, and if she captures, yeah, if she goes away with her rook from the e file, I get to e8, and the game is over. I mean, it's so hard for me just to understand it. Again, even after analyzing and knowing, it's just so hard to believe that it's like hopeless. So it would have been a very, very nice way to check to play, but you just have to understand there are some chances for black. I didn't. I mean, I saw this line, this particular line, and I just stopped calculating. I thought, okay, well, yeah, I have some compensation, but I don't see it. It just really, you need to understand that white has no real ways to counterplay, and I do have this wonderful idea of transferring the bishop to this diagonal and just win the game. Very, very hard. But in fact, it's not lost for white if she finds this move, because after c3, in that case, she has time to start some counterplay. And if I give a check, again, a very precise king c1. And after c3, now she has a5, time for a5 and a6. And in that case, she has this counterplay on the a file, which lets her hold the position. I don't know if she would play it, if she would find it, but in the game I played badly. I took on b3. More problems would be for white, would be to solve it. I mean, rook b7 was another option, another reasonable option, because here she would need to find this sequences of moves, which is also very complicated, I think. No, not like that. How would I play? Well, anyway, yeah, g6, rook b4, I think something else. She could have played something else. Maybe, because if she gives a check, then I go to c5, and suddenly her position is lost again, because I'm just in time to attack her pieces. So rook b7 was another option, and I captured on b3, which is a very bad idea. And she was just in time to activate all her pieces, and I was the one who was fighting draw here. But she, instead of playing knight d5, for some reason she put her knight to a3, and okay, I offered to draw here, and she agreed. And that was it. That was it for my tournament. In this particular tournament, I scored -1, which only give me the 10th place, which is amazing. I mean, usually in these tournaments, -1 is somewhere, you know, well, maybe not in the middle, but like place 7th or 8th. And here I was just the clear, I think I took the clear 10th place out of 12, which is very surprising, because there was a big, on 50%, there were 4 players sharing from 6th to 9th. And so 10th place gave me 30 points, 30 overall points, and as you can see, 8 was not enough to get to the even top 3. It was not enough. Overall, I took the 4th place, but the series is over. It's behind me. Kateryna, Lagno, and Alexandra Goryachkina qualified for the Candidate 2024, so congratulations to them. There are 2 more tournaments to try my luck and qualify for the candidates, which is the World Cup that is coming up this summer. It's going to take place in Baku, and the Grand Swiss in October on Isle of Man. I mean, both tournaments are quite complicated and quite hard to qualify. Last time I qualified via the World Cup in 2021. We'll see how it goes this time, but of course it's always a very, very difficult task to get to the top 8 players. I will give it a try. We'll see if it will work. Well, I don't agree that it was an arranged draw with Kateryna Lagno, because, well, if your opponent plays a theoretical line which leads to a draw sometimes, and you play this line, well, there's no way to refrain from it, right? You just like, there are several games in this tournament which you can call pre-arranged or arranged, but I don't agree with this names such as, for example, Shuvalova Harika. There was a very well-known theoretical draw, and several other games. So in chess, unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, but there are theoretical lines where if both players follow, will lead us to some perpetual or threefold repetition and so on. Well, if both players don't mind those theoretical lines and don't do anything to avoid them, well, those draws happen. And that was the case in round number 9. All other games that I played were very, very hard fought and very long and complicated. So what can you do? Sometimes those draws just happen. Okay, guys. So let's move on. That's it with my recap of the FIDE Grand Prix series. And now in 3 minutes, actually, there's going to be this speed run chess play.